He just bought his favorite camera. But he was rewarded by his father. He was also often targeted by school bullies. Even his beloved mother was bedridden. Not long to live. Thanks, Mom. He originally thought he will live in this shadow for the rest of his life. Little did he know that this day would be the start of an adventure with the two of them. But it changed his destiny. They discovered a strange cave in the mountains. Sounds were occasionally coming from inside the acupoint. Curious, the group decided to go down and investigate. But once inside, I discovered the source of the sound was actually a piece of crystal. The moment the black man made contact, but he turned red, and several of them started bleeding profusely from their noses. Then came the coma. When I woke up the next day, the three of them discovered my body has undergone tremendous changes. No matter how my cousin threw the baseball, he could hit the black guy's face perfectly. But when Andrew comes on... Oh, shit, wait, that's great. Looking at the unbelievable scene before my eyes, Andrew was very excited. Obviously, the crystal granted them extraordinary power. In the days to come, the group simply used their telekinetic abilities to skip stones, where you can eat snacks without using your hands. But the group was very playful. They began developing new skills and more precise control of objects. But it is obvious, the two of them were not as good at learning as Andrew. Toys they couldn't assemble. Andrew assembled it with ease, and he began teaching the two how to deal with being hurt. Protect yourself. After several days of training, they arrived at a restaurant. I'm going to test the results of my training over the past few days. Before leaving, he didn't forget to play a prank on the waiter. Haha, but the group was still curious. Why did they become like this? Then, the three returned to the cave to investigate further. But this cave has already been buried, and this place is already under military control. They had no choice but to leave. Since that's the case, they also gave up on the reason. Begin to pursue the joy brought by telekinesis. For example, playing pranks on the neighbor's little girl. Please just look at it. The little girl screamed in fright. Hurry up and go find your mother. Not enough. The group started playing pranks on the female classmates again. Haha. Next up was their most hated homeroom teacher, while the teacher went shopping. Using telekinesis, I moved the car to another parking space when the homeroom teacher returned. But then he discovered that his car was missing. After searching for a while, I just found my car. Meanwhile, the others were frantically thinking to themselves. But soon the black guy started having a nosebleed. This is precisely because they overused their telekinetic abilities. Despite this, they still chose to go their own way. Make full use of telekinesis. Even my usually very cautious cousin, enjoying it, unable to extricate oneself. Haha. However, not long after, they then experienced their first illness in life. 3 people on their way home. He noticed a pickup truck behind him that kept heading towards his mother. The driver was clearly a road rage sufferer. Andrew simply waved his hand, and the vehicle. It rushed straight into the river beside it. However, this action angered my cousin. That was one with you, look at this. We just calm down, I'm still in there, I'm sorry, okay? Clearly, they had only been engaging in minor skirmishes before. My cousin didn't impose many restrictions, but this time is different from the past. The water level was about to submerge the car. Blackie decisively jumped into the river, although the driver was successfully rescued, but he was still seriously injured in the accident. Admitted to the hospital, the table was furious after this incident. He didn't want Andrew to be associated with superpowers, loss of humanity. Therefore, he scolded his cousin severely, and the two agreed on 3 rules. Rule number 1, no using it on living things. Rule number 2, you can't use it when you're angry. That's it. Rule number 3, I don't think we should be using it in public or telling anybody. Although these 3 conditions made Andrew very uncomfortable, but after thinking about it, he still chose to apologize to his cousin and took him to an abandoned factory in the suburbs. Prepare a gift for him. Just as my cousin looked up at the sky, but then they saw a black man flying in the sky, and this is the gift Andrew prepared. He has developed his telekinesis to the point of flying on a sword, and taught the black guy in advance. But my cousin's comprehension is poor. Ha 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 ha. However, after 2.5 hours of practice, my cousin is also proficient in flying. Then, they began to fly freely in the blue sky and white clouds, soaring through the skies. This might be humanity's most long-awaited encounter with flight. They did it. After a short flight, they started playing rugby in the clouds, but just when they were having a great time. Filmed. Andrew, however, heard a strange sound. The next second, a passenger plane sped through the clouds. The black man couldn't dodge in time and was knocked unconscious by the plane, and it plummeted rapidly towards the ground. Crisis. Andrew caught the black man in time. At last, they also landed safely on the ground. The black man, who had narrowly escaped death, looked around in terror. I can't believe I'm still alive. Excited, he began to speak to Andrew, express gratitude. The day of the campus meet was fast approaching. Blackie was grateful to Andrew for saving his life. The decision was made to let him shine in front of his classmates. He made those who once looked down on him look at him with new eyes. Sure enough, just as Andrew came on, the students in the audience began to boo, and Andrew lived up to expectations. He immediately stumbled and fell to the ground as soon as he stepped onto the stage. But what happened next? But it left the students in the audience speechless. The applause from the audience instantly restored Andrew's confidence. With the help of telekinesis, whether he walks a tightrope, still walking on a tightrope while throwing the ball, he can easily master all of them. After these performances, the students in the audience shouted Andrew's name wildly. This also transformed him. He became a popular figure at school. The students all greeted him warmly. Even the usually aloof school beauty couldn't resist the loneliness. Take the initiative to kiss, and invited him to the second floor for another round. Poker magic show. But the good times didn't last long. Just as Blackie sneaked up to the second floor, ready to witness my good brother, the moment I became a man. Suddenly, I saw the school beauty running out, cursing and swearing, and there was vomit on him. This situation is already obvious. Andrew's first attempt was unsuccessful. This restored his newly established self-confidence. Falling to the bottom again, his good friend, Blackie, comforted him from the side, but Andrew thought he was making fun of him, so he directly cursed at the black guy. After this incident, Andrew felt that those around him, there are no trustworthy friends. In addition, my father's long-term alcoholism. Andrew was used as a venting tool. This caused his long-suppressed emotions to erupt instantly. He threw his father heavily to the ground. Then he flew alone to the lightning, intertwined night sky. His mood at that moment was like these dark clouds. Fortunately, the black man sensed that Andrew was losing control. It grew immediately, and stayed by his side to comfort him. But at this time, Drew, however, wouldn't listen to anyone's advice. Blackie died on that stormy night. Everyone was crying at the funeral. Only the cousin stared blankly at Andrew. He knew about Blackie's death. It's definitely related to Andrew. But after several inquiries, Andrew chose to remain silent and avoid reality. After everyone left, Andrew arrived at the black man's tombstone, expressed condolences, apologized to him. He knew that he was responsible for Blackie's death. He controlled the direction of the lightning while out of control. This is what led to the black man's death. He now deeply regrets his impulsive actions, but everything was beyond saving. He sat quietly on the playground for a while. Then I went into the school, but the school beauty had already spread the word about what happened that night. Everyone knows. The school bully who often harassed him even pretended to vomit to mock him. This caused Andrew, who was already heartbroken, to erupt instantly. He directly used his telekinesis to pull it out. The school bully's 3 teeth. He also explained the tooth extraction process in detail. He could have pulled the tooth out from the root, make the school bully feel extreme pain, but all of these teeth broke in the middle. Not considered a success. Clearly, Andrew had completely turned to the dark side by this point. He no longer treats humans as his own kind. My abilities have now reached a being like a god. When God was killing humanity, there should be no sense of guilt. Just like a human stepping on an ant. Ryan does not feel guilty when it kills it, is it? But just as Andrew returned home, his cousin learned about what happened at school. Found it. They used the 3-point agreement they had made to suppress him. But at this time, how could Andrew, who was in the thick of it all, possibly listen to him? Tell my cousin to get as far away as possible. The enraged cousin threw a punch, but the fist hadn't even gotten close to him. But Andrew was the one who ended up with it. Telekinesis control in the air. Realizing he couldn't beat the guy, he could only turn and leave. Andrew's bundle was really heavy. He couldn't care less about these friendships. He also has a seriously ill mother to take care of. Andrew carefully covered his mother with a blanket. Then he went to the pharmacy, but he simply couldn't afford $900. A box of expensive medicine. Having no other choice, he had to take advantage of his father's absence. He secretly took out the fire axe he had hidden under the bed and wear it on your body. This is to conceal one's face from being discovered. Then he went to the street, find the bully who often bullies him, and they were made to hand over all their money. But the bully seemed to have heard Andrew's voice. The sound of shit man is that Andrew. Sound kind of like Angel 1 today. Andrew saw the path to identity. I might as well stop pretending. He directly used telekinesis too. One of the bullies was killed. Upon seeing this, the others immediately began to flee frantically. But how could they escape Andrew's pursuit? Just a blink of an eye, Andrew then dealt with them all. They took all their money. Then we arrived at another place. But this money is far from enough to cover my mother's medical expenses. So he had no choice but to go to a nearby gas station. While the boss was still scrolling through Douyin, he knocked him unconscious with a sudden punch. Then used telekinesis. Take all the money out of the counter. Come on. After finishing, Andrew quickly left the gas station. But unexpectedly, the boss woke up at this moment. He chased after them with a hunting rifle. Andrew waved his hand casually. Unexpectedly, the shotgun reached the oil tank. A huge explosion occurred. The heat wave instantly ignited him. The firefighter's uniform saved his life. The police notified his father immediately, but he wasn't visiting his son. Instead, he was blamed because the father was searching Andrew, who doesn't come home at night. This resulted in the mother being left without care. He died painfully in his bed. The father explained all the rights and wrongs. It was all blamed on Andrew, but they didn't notice at all. The camera is slowly approaching him. Andrew wanted to record everything his father said. Your mother is dead, and it is your fault. At the same time, my cousin, who has superhuman telekinesis, started having nosebleeds uncontrollably. He seemed to sense that Andrew was losing control, so he quickly drove to the hospital. Downstairs, he saw Andrew place his father hundreds of meters in the air. Then he threw it down without hesitation. Fortunately, my cousin leaped into the air and caught my father in time. But this action, however, this exposed his telekinetic abilities to the public. Everyone was stunned. I can't believe what I'm seeing. Faced with the encirclement of several helicopters, Andrew remained calm and composed. Just as he was preparing to unleash a massacre, his cousin arrived just in time and persuade him. But Andrew was still blaming him. Why did you catch that damn father? You're weak, Matt, you're all weak. And you're stronger than all we need you listen to me, okay? I need you to listen, just this focus for a sec. Not telling me what to do clearly indicates that he was facing his cousin's dissuasion. Andrew was no longer listening. His mother's death turned him completely to the dark side. So he directly controlled the truck and ran over his cousin, sending him flying. I'm an apex predator. Fortunately, my cousin had super telekinetic energy protecting him. That's why he didn't die from it. After getting up, he quickly started fighting with Andrew. They fought from the sky to the ground. These buildings are in their hands, as brittle as paper. There was absolutely nothing that could stop the two of them from flying wildly through the air. But they soon suffered from overuse of telekinesis. He fell heavily to the ground. Police saw this. They were quickly surrounded. But despite past grievances, the older cousin still protected his younger cousin and began to explain to the police. But they were clearly terrified by what they had just witnessed. They wouldn't listen to any explanation at all. He shot his cousin directly through the palm. This action completely enraged Andrew. Then, he began to vandalize everything around him. But despite this, more and more police officers continued to arrive as reinforcements. They surrounded Andrew completely. Countless infrared beams were aimed at him. The cousin, on the other hand, kept trying to dissuade Andrew, but he felt it was all too late. The police saw that he was stubborn and refused to listen, so countless bullets rained down on him. But Andrew took these bullets, all fixed in the air, and then... In just a moment, All the police officers were instantly sent flying, but Andrew hadn't stopped his roaring. The glass began to shatter one by one from his banging. His cousin was frantically trying to dissuade him. He didn't want to lose the illness he'd grown up with. But Andrew had completely lost his mind. No matter how much his cousin tried to dissuade him, he ignored him. My cousin watched as the citizens were gripped by panic. He still chose to kill his cousin with his own hands. By this time, my cousin was completely exhausted. He collapsed to the ground in pain. Upon seeing this, the police quickly surrounded them. I thought my cousin would be arrested. Unexpectedly, he suddenly woke up. Then he suddenly shot into the sky. Shortly after my cousin died, my cousin carried their original dream, crossing thousands of miles. Finally, we arrived in Tibet. This is the place Andrew longs for. Unfortunately, he never had the chance to come here again. Fortunately, my cousin brought Andrew. I brought my favorite camera. This can be considered as fulfilling some of the promises made at the beginning. My cousin looked at the camera, unsure of what to say, but he firmly believed that Andrew was by no means a bad person. He will use his telekinesis to help others in the future, and he will investigate the bottom of that hole. What happened? Give Andrew and the black man a chance to clear their names. Goodbye, Andrew.